Welcome to the Firebelly Social Show. We're focused on talking to food and beverage brands that are on a mission to make the world better.
Hey, everyone. It's Duncan here with another episode of the Firebelly Social Show, where we feature and highlight and spotlight and celebrate founders and leaders of mission-driven food and beverage brands. And this episode is brought to you by Firebelly Marketing, a full-service social media marketing agency, helping brands connect with their audiences. If you'd like to learn more, firebellymarketing.com. I'm so excited today to bring two great founders to the table, Jill Stuber and Tia Glave, founders of Catalyst. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Hi, thank you for having us.
You know, you all are doing an amazing job in an area that scares the shit out of a lot of founders. So let's talk about, like Salt and Pepper used to say, let's talk about food safety, baby. How Tia, why don't you start? Like, what do you guys do? And then maybe you can continue with why is it so scary to founders?
Yeah. So what we do at Catalyst is that our mission is to transform the way people lead in food. And we do that by really leaning on our expertise of being in the food industry for decades, working in food safety and food quality, and regulatory and operations, maintenance. We've been in so many roles, and we've had the opportunity to lead different size teams and work in different parts of the industry, from large organizations to small or not even quite started yet organizations. And our goal is really to make this journey easier for people. A lot of that is in the way that we lead and the way that we create strategy, specifically around food safety and quality. But it's also around how do you integrate food safety into the way that you do business at whatever stage your business is in. And so we focus a lot on that for our food businesses, because food safety is scary. And for some, but for us that's been in it for a while, we know it can be fun. We have fun, right? We know it can be fun, and we know that it can help enable business growth.
Absolutely. We always say it's not the sexy part of business, right? Nobody is like, we can't wait for that new product to come out and we hope it's safe, right? The licensing or labeling and some of the regulatory is sometimes the things that come along during product development that are like, oh, that's right, we have to get that part done.
Yeah.
And we really want to help bring that to the forefront for founders, because sometimes businesses take off, but our food safety programs and our quality programs aren't quite at the level that needed to help support them grow their business even more.
Yeah.
So we want to help them make it fun and get them ready for, when whatever markets they want to enter and they're ready.
Yeah. The thing that's scary to us is when businesses grow and they're in an environment where they're not quite ready for the type of exposure that they have, the type of risk to their consumers. And we've seen it. We've seen it where organizations run into a problem and it has completely stunted their growth. And we love to eat, right? So we want these amazing food to be out there, and we want to try all of these amazing, innovative products. And we want to make sure that these organizations can thrive, as they grow. And so we want to help. We want to help make that easier. And again, not make it scary along the way, so that when they're at this place that they're in, the Whole Foods, the Targets, the Trader Joe's, and their national account, and now they're trying to look and see global, they don't have to think about, oh man, what if something goes wrong? Because we haven't been building our programs or been mindful of food safety and even food quality along the way.
Is it an oversimplification to say that is really the mission, is to bring peace of mind along with strategic thinking to these founders?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because, right, the last thing people want to do is make someone sick or ill or, even worse with their product, right? That's not why people are getting into business. But it's also not always the first thing people think of. And sometimes it's not about if it happens, it's about being able to prove you did all the right things. And that's where food safety comes in with some of that risk management and understanding like what things need to be in place, but also really thinking about how it fits with the business. Because we can't say, hey, do this $1 million food safety thing if we're at like, a 6-figure revenue right now.
Right.
Like it has to be practical. It has to be sized for the business.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
That's super interesting. And so the vision is really so big picture, because you want these founders to be able to get the skills and the experience that you help them with. And it's I think when I was reading about you all, it's really about sparking transformation. And how do you do that?
Yeah. Well, the first step in sparking transformation is really meeting organizations where they are. And so we've been talking about food safety being fun and it helps with enabling business growth. A piece of that is understanding where you are and where you want to go. And then what are those steps to get there? And how are you going to build that into your organization to get there? Mm-hmm. And so a part of that sparking transformation is doing exactly that.
Yeah. And sometimes it starts really from a simple standpoint. Like we can pick up a product in the store and I can look at it and I can see how the principal display panel looks and the nutrition facts. And I get a sense right away of where an organization is at with food safety and regulatory compliance. Because when I see things like maybe we're naming something that maybe isn't on the label, or we're saying something's maybe organic or natural, but we don't have certifications, or our rounding rules are wrong on our nutrition values, we go, gosh, there's a spot that we can help people because it's a space that they maybe just aren't familiar with.
Yeah. Even on websites, right? Like that's like one of the big things, especially, I worked in e-commerce for a lot of my career, and that's where people order. And so just looking at the website, oh, they need a little bit of food safety help. Because just from display, and what I like to tell my businesses and what I've told them in the past is you never know who's buying your product. It could be an inspector, it could be an inspector's child or cousin, right? Like you never know who's buying your product. And really, you want everyone to buy your product. And you don't want it to become an issue because of the way that your label looked or how your product showed up at their door. All of those things could start something for you that you didn't even know was brewing just because you sold your product. And so with those type of things, like when you talk about peace of mind, those type of things we're trying to also protect for, so that you can continue to innovate and change and grow and do all of these super fun things. Like that food safety enables for those things to happen, that you don't have to worry about anyone getting your product. You want them to get it. You're telling them, go order it because I want you to enjoy this product. And you have that peace of mind that is safe and of high quality.
And it's interesting because just to kind of drive some of the credibility through is you've helped food companies of all sizes. And not only that, you're helping make food safety fun while enabling business growth. I think your words are protecting brands and most importantly, protecting consumers. I'll address this question to Jill. Jill, with your extensive experience in this food safety and quality team, what are some of the insights that you've, one or two insights that you've, garnered and that you use on a daily basis with your clients?
Well, gosh, I think when we talk about working with founders, I think it's really just helping them understand and one, for us to understand their business, but then helping them understand how food safety fits with that. For example, we've got a client we're working with right now, and they're looking at a certification, but the reality is their revenue isn't at a spot where they can do it. But we help them plan. So in 6 months, when they look at their forecast, they're like, that's when we can start that work. And that's the type of impact we like to have, because it doesn't mean today you have to have it. But we try to be really practical on what is it that the business needs? And so that's really where we start with, Tia and I, with all of our experience, we found if we try to cram it down someone's throat that you need it right now, guess what? That doesn't work. And so the more we can work with people and put people and their dreams and their hopes kind of at the center, but then bring in some of that practical food safety part, that really helps blend that together so people can move forward and their organizations can grow.
Yeah.
And Jill, just a follow-up there, you've got a passion for coaching.
Yeah, for sure. That's because I early in my career, I thought to be a better food safety expert, I needed to get another degree, another certificate. And what I found is I just needed to be better with people. And so coaching is really where I leaned in to lead my teams better, but also to build better relationships within the businesses I was working. And that's when food safety made progress. And so from that, that's where I really focus now with Tia and Catalyst on coaching. How do we help these technical experts that speak a different language speak so that other people can understand how we fit food safety into the business?
I mean, relatability sometimes equates to relevance, right? And so I think that's beautifully put. Tia, for you, you've been you're a chemical engineer and you've had engineering experience. You've worked in e-commerce, and I love the fact that you're the founder of the Black Professionals in Food Safety Group. Tell us more about this initiative and I mean, it may seem like a dumb question because we know the answer, but why is it essential to champion diversity in this field?
Yes. So I started the Black Professionals in Food Safety and Quality networking group in December of 2021. And I have been thinking about it for a couple of years. And the main reason, right, which most of us know, is that it's hard. It's when you look at leaders in organization, when you look at executive leaders in organization, sometimes it's hard to find someone that looks like me. And the Black talent pipeline, or really the Black talent, I would say, ladder is broken. And there's a lot of reasons for that. And I want to be a part of that solution of fostering this Black talent, creating a pipeline, putting people together and networking, placing people in circles that they might not be in naturally because we hang out with people that look like us, talk like us, remind us of ourselves and our children and our family, right? And so sometimes it's hard to break into those circles that might get you that next promotion or that might lead you to the CEO of an organization. And so my goal for creating this networking group is for Black professionals to network with one another, but also to create this pipeline of talent so that it's easier and more accessible to find, mentor, sponsor Black talent. And so we are early on that journey, but it has been an amazing experience just to meet so many Black professionals, learn what they have going on in their careers, where they want to go, and be able to introduce them to people to help with their career. When I left my first organization to move to New York City, I realized that the only Black people I knew in food safety and quality were the people that worked at that organization. And I remember thinking, like, there has got to be more Black people in food safety and quality out there. Of course there is, but there was nowhere for me to really tap into that group. And that's one of the main reasons why I wanted to create the group, is that, hey, I wanted to meet more Black professionals in this space and network with more Black professionals. And we really didn't have an avenue to do that until this group was formed in 2021. And so now I'm on a mission to grow this group and fulfill this mission of being a place for mentorship and to grow Black talent, and to be a place, right, where people can come and access Black talent.
I mean, bravo, first of all, molto bravo, because that is so important. And in your follow-up question is, how has having this wide experience, of everything from chemical engineering to e-commerce to, thought leader and action taker. How does that help you in your kind of daily world?
Yeah, it helps me have very different conversations with very different people. I've always been a person that's been interested in so many different topics and just topics and functions. And so I've always sort of found myself in this space where I knew about food safety, I knew about logistics, I knew about operations, I knew about HR, and it's just because of my interests. And so, now I'm in this space that I'm just able to relate to different people in different areas because I have a little bit of experience with it. But it also allows me to ask specific questions for people to think about, like when we talk about coaching and why that's important to Catalyst as a brand, but also to the people that we work with and the organizations that we work with. Having these experiences just allows me to ask pointed and specific questions to allow people to just become more self-aware about themselves and the decisions that they make and where they want to go. I think it just helps me be a better coach and a better leader, a better advocate for my teams and for my people.
I mean, what I love about the approach that you all are taking and the coaching model in general, I'm not dissing the therapy model, but the coaching model is like, hey, listen, in some cases, I want to model your behavior because you've been there, you've done it, right? If I can't model your behavior, and my context, can you please tell me what should I do? Because, unlike, with your personal life, maybe you don't have the urgency to solve a particular challenge and find a solution. In a business situation, you got some urgency sometimes that you should have the urgency everywhere. But in a business situation, your job may depend on it. And it's like, I love the fact that you all are coming in and with this approach. So thank you for doing that and making the world better. Now, your company is pretty active on social media. And how do these platforms help? And, can we direct some of our listeners to some of those platforms?
Absolutely. We do a lot. We have a presence on LinkedIn. That's probably our main social platform. And really our messaging really is that whole being, well-being is just as important as the technical skills. And so I love hearing Tia talk about advocating for belonging and inclusion and Black talent because, as coaches, I think sometimes there's this misunderstanding that like we give answers. We're like, no, you have answers. We want to tap into that wisdom you already have, which innately includes belonging. Mm-hmm. But right through social situations and cultural, environmental, all those things, right? We start kind of trying to put people into groups. Yeah. And our goal is, for us to really come to work and invite people to bring their best selves to work, we have to be open to what they bring and offer and bring that out. And that's all about creating spaces where people belong. Yeah. And that's really the messaging we try to bring through on our social media to say, let's lead differently. Because when we do that, we're going to have better outcomes, whether that's food safety, whether it's how people feel, and all of that translates into business outcomes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've seen the term, which you all are practicing and have been practicing. I know we practice it here too, but psychological safety. Yeah. And I mean, it's a cool new term, but a lot of us have been doing it for a long time, and it certainly sounds like that's an important part of your work. Bringing safety not just into the product space, but into the workplace in general.
Yeah. And psychological safety is not necessarily a new concept. We're just starting to catch on to it in the food and beverage industry, where we're at this very unique space where between the generational changes that's happening in the working class, and the people that are working in the industry, and this shift with COVID And obviously social media, all of these things are kind of playing into the aspects that are now starting to kind of bubble up in the industry. And a piece of that is psychological safety, because what organizations are finding is that people need that type of psychological safety, this type of really that my organization cares about my whole being, everything about like not just the way that I am at work, but how I like to live my life outside of work and how that interacts with one another. And a piece of that is psychological safety, to be able to get to what does that look like here at this organization and how do I support my people? And it's almost been like this right now. Organizations are being forced to move into that area and learn more about psychological safety, learn more about what they need to do to strengthen their culture, because really they're starting to find that their people are not as engaged as they need them to be, that retention is an issue, and all of those things impact business. And so we're at this spot, and we talk about it a lot, but we're at this spot that employee needs are changing, and organizations have to meet that need if they want to continue to grow and be successful. And it's going to happen, right? We see it. We've seen it over the decades, right? That industries change to meet what their employees need, because otherwise, right, they don't have people to work for them. So it's going to happen, but they're going to drag their feet, right? They're going to drag their feet along the way. And so some of the things that we like to tell our clients is that if they're a large organization and they've been around for 200 years, right, that ship is going to be slow to turn, but you got to start turning it, right? If you are a new organization, maybe been around for 20 years or 50 years, that ship is not as slow to turn, but you need to start now. And it's easier when you start now and start incorporating those things into your business, even if you haven't started making product. We love meeting clients that haven't started making product yet, because we're like, yes, this is the time to start talking about these things, because it's harder to go back. It's harder to go back after you've been doing operations for a while. And so I would say that we love having those conversations with our clients, because we want them to right that ship as soon as possible so they can get on the right path and really start experiencing the type of growth and profits and just overall happiness and fun at their organization that they can have with their people.
I mean, it's interesting. I hadn't planned on bringing this up, but I've been saying for years, put people first. Doesn't mean that every person is the right person for your organization, or you're the right organization for every person. But whether it's inside your organization, outside your organization, roll with that mentality. David Mesa, who was telling you about earlier, who runs We Grow CPG, was like, they're a people first organization. So they're going to look at how do you develop and protect your people, along with, the promotion and the positioning and all that stuff. And it seems to be that is an important role. Like whatever level, as you said, Tia, on the ladder you might be as a leader, but protection is an important part of I remember learning that for the first time. God, it's got to have been 10 or 15 years ago. I was learning about, because I've been doing my own thing for a long time. I thought, okay, I got to attract business, I got to convert business, and I got to make sure that, I'm taking care of my team. I did not know that protecting the business isn't just protecting the work with a client who could sometimes be bonkers, but it's also protecting the team, because without the team, nothing happens.
Right. Yeah.
So, how do you thank you for that? Is a very, very insightful answer. I'm sure a lot of founders need to hear that. How do you, with, two highly successful, highly engaged women, how are you taking care of yourself? Like, what do you do to make sure that you're okay?
Well, that's a great question. And, especially as coaches, people go, well, do you do all these practices? Well, and the real answer is we try. Yeah. Right? We are humans. We are imperfect in what we do, but we also have the advantage of, because we're immersed in this space, we get to practice over and over. And there's days where like my self-care maybe isn't where I want it to be, but I have the tools, the skill, and the consistency in practice to get back on.
Yes.
And I think that's the part where as we work with clients, our goal is how do we help you have the right tools and build the practicing in? So that way it becomes, right, it's all about behaviors and habits to support yourself.
Yeah.
But, we are we're values driven. So, we start off our meetings together where we talk about like what we're grateful for, or we talk about something that we're struggling with. And we really try to put us as people first, because we are. That's one of the great things about our partnership is that, we met, we never even met in person before we jumped in to do a partnership.
Right.
Because along the way, as we had known each other, we always had this connection because of the safe space that we made for each other. And so that's part of what continues through for us taking care of each other. And sometimes it's easier than other times. My kids are a little bit older, so I can be like, you guys go do your own thing. Mom needs to do this.
Right. Yeah.
Deanna has, a toddler, so it's not always as easy, but we try to bring that in.
Yeah.
To what we do every day.
We do.
What would you add?
Yeah, Jill, I would agree. I would agree on the piece of like, it's not about being perfect every day, right? But it's about having the tools to be able to say, okay, today I didn't necessarily do my, grateful journal or my meditation or whatever, insert, right, tool. But tomorrow's a new day, right? And I'm going to restart, right? I'm going to recenter myself. And, having a toddler, right? There's a lot of resets. But it's also a shift in my lifestyle, right? And what I normally do before I had a baby, right? Like that's very different than what I do now. And so being able to shift my mind, which is an ongoing, battle on how, what do I need to take care of myself? That's something that I have to think about, that I do think about probably every day. And I'm lucky that I have Jill as my partner, not just because she's a coach, but just who she is, that, I was able to, but when we started Catalyst, I was pregnant. And so, and like Jill said, we didn't even meet each other till we were 8 months into this business. And so I had already had my baby. I've already kind of gone through that. And then just the support that Jill provided me during that time, I don't know if I would have been able to sustain a business by myself or with anyone else without that type of support. And so when I think about like self-care and taking care of ourselves, having a partner that values that, not just for herself, but also for me, there's time where Jill's like, yeah, go do that. Don't worry about what's over here. Right. And vice versa, where we really try to say and live to people first. Our family is important. It's important for us to travel with our family or do this or whatever is important to us. We want to make sure that we give each other space to do it.
Yeah. To add to that, I always chuckle because we may be like, oh my gosh, our to-do list is really big. And we have this good reset where we're like, well, who decided on one that needed to be done? Well, that was us. Okay. So we're imposing our timeline. So we can also shift our timeline.
Yes.
And so we really are intentional about looking at that as well to say, hey, we're the ones in the driver's seat.
Yes.
What do we need? Because if we can't fulfill that, right? You know how it goes. If we're not filling our cup, we're not going to fill anybody else's.
Yeah.
So
that's so important too for founders, right? Because it's like we are putting this on ourselves. And yes, it's important for business growth. And it's so funny when we did our strategy session for 2024, we're like, okay, we're not going to have 1 million goals, right? Like we're not going to, and we are 11 days into the new year and added a few, right? Now we want to make sure that we do. And we know that in order to do founder work, like you're an overachiever, right? And like, that's just what we do. But you have to remember to reset yourself and surround yourself with other founders or, a coach or coaches or whatever you need to really just dive back in and have people around you that support you and say, yeah, like, okay, where did this to-do list come from? Do you really need to get that done this year? Is that really contributing to growth? Is that the type of growth that you want? Just asking yourself those type of questions so that you could really reset yourself and say, okay, yeah, like I'm being Tia. I'm putting, 100 things on the list when I really have room for 25. So like needing to reset. But it's all in our DNA as founders, right? Like we have to check ourselves sometimes.
I mean, I think that's beautifully put. And the role that, what I heard in between the lines there is like, being dynamic, you're going to realign, you're going to shift, you're going to pivot, but also you're going to forgive yourself and say, hey, I can't get to this cocktail party that so-and-so is going to be at because I don't have the energy. I got to go home and chill out and myself, or I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to get my workout in. But if it's not a great workout, it's okay. I got there,
I moved.
Instead of like, I only did what I normally do. It's like, I got there. There's like, and so I got to my meetings, I inspired someone and we're going to start again tomorrow. Right. So
yes.
That's what's coming up for you two dynamic leaders. What's coming up in the next few months?
Yeah. So we are big in leadership development. And so this year we actually launched our technical leader boot camp, our cohorts that are already open for the spring and the fall. So people can find that information out on our website. We actually go live weekly on LinkedIn. Every Wednesday at noon Eastern, 11 Central Time. Follow our Catalyst page on LinkedIn. You will see it. We also post our replays on our blog and our YouTube channel. So check it out there. We love Wednesdays for this because it's called Real Talk Food Safety with Tia and Jill. And that's what we real talk about what's happening around food safety, around culture, leadership development. It's not in a webinar style. It's really in a discussion style where really you can have that real talk. So those are two of the things that are coming up.
Yeah.
Jill, what else?
Well, I was going to say, since knowing a lot of founders follow your podcast, I think the other part is, while it's not necessarily a new launch, a lot of times we're helping founders with decisions about when should I hire somebody to do food safety, or who should be doing food safety, or what type of support do I need? Because it can be a heavy load and you're already wearing, 73 different hats. Yeah. So that's something that we are continually working on to be able to, great. Once again, it's all about support and helping how we lead in food so that we find more joy, we find more success. And that's something that we continually look to refine and support even better.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I got to tell you, I read the brief, but I did not know about all this content, that you're doing live. And I think content is cool, but not for the sake of content. And what I'm hearing you say is that, the beautiful thing here is that you're building community around yourselves. You've created community in a space that it didn't even exist. And then you'll creating community. It's a beautiful thing because it's a long game. Community is not a short game. If you had someone say to you, hey, what's the ROI of those of last week's Real Talk meeting? I don't know, 7 people, 25 people joined, and I don't know. But the impact is so significant because you got mind share, right? And mind share, I mean, I don't think people know I don't know anyone that knows how to measure mind share. I mean, we know that people are still spending money on billboards, so mind share must work, right?
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Kudos to you for the way you're leading and the long game that you're playing, and that's really needed, I think, in the food and beverage space. And thank you for making the world a better place and, waking up every day and doing this.
Well, we love it. It is our passion. And this is where we want to contribute in the world. And then the space that we love, because again, we love eating food. And so if we could positively impact that space that be able to share our gifts, as well as grow, right? Like we grow every time we work with a client. And that just brings us joy. Like we love it that we get to do this every day.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show and being so generous with your time. Let's remind everyone how they can find you.
Absolutely. You can reach us online. Our website's foodsafetykatalyst.com. You can follow us on LinkedIn. And if you want to reach us directly, hello@foodsafetykatalyst.com. We'll get a message right to us.
And then you're both on
subscribe to our YouTube channel.
And the LinkedIn Lives on Wednesday. And Jill Stuber and Tia Glave are on LinkedIn as well, so you can reach them directly.
Okay.
You live in an accessible world. Let's do it. Follow them. Listen to what they have to say. And thank you for listening to the Firebelly Social Show, where we focus on leaders and founders of mission-driven food and beverage brands. And this is your host, Duncan. It's been a blast talking to these two dynamic leaders, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you again, Tia and Jill.
Thanks for listening to the Firebelly Social Show. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.